Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for Mashle, Magic and Muscles, Season 1 on Toonami and Netflix. I started watching it on Toonami, but then it kind of went on a hiatus, and then Netflix is like, hey, here's Season 1. I'm like, alright, so I finished it up on there, because I wanted to see what was going on. Though, I still like to support Toonami. And they're starting, at least from what I can gather from information from the cable box, they're starting Sailor Moon Season 1 on Toonami, so it'll be a bit if it gets on there. But I was able to finish this up, and this was interesting. It's pretty much like how my one friend described it as like Magic One Punch Man. Harry Potter One Punch Man. And yes, that pretty much accurately describes this. We follow Mash Burndead, and he is in a world where there's all this magic, and there's tier systems, with like one line being kind of lower tier, and then two lines up forth have more magic, more power, stuff like that, but he doesn't have any magic, and he's just living out in the woods with his grandpa, but of course he has a complete and utter weakness for cream puffs. So his grandpa's like, listen, just don't go into town, and he of course goes into town for a cream puff and gets set upon by like pretty much the police, and they find out that he doesn't have any magic, but he is able to like fuck these people up because he is just incredibly strong. He's trained himself like One Punch Man, where he can do insane shit. We see him having complete and utter problems with opening doors, not understanding when to push or pull depending upon what's going on, and pretty much breaking them off hinges. That is a joke that I actually am fine with. That kind of gets him into trouble more often than not, but it's not completely and utterly overdone and spaced out well enough. Other ones, the reason I'm not going completely full on double thumbs up for this is because sometimes some jokes are done to such a kind of degree and keep harped on, kind of like Tegrity Farms on South Park, that I'm just like, okay, what the fuck? And also kind of tonal inconsistency. Most of the time, it's more of a comedic anime, where they then try in the background to pretty much fill in like the serious kind of aspects, but a lot of the time the humor pretty much undercuts the seriousness. I mean, shit, we get to the end of the season and they're doing this kind of like celebratory thing that is tonal whiplash kind of thing, because it goes on for too long, and does the whole kind of joke thing where it goes on too long. It's like, can we just actually do what's going on here? So, Regro is his father. Well, he pretty much adopted him to kind of like help him out. He, of course, has lower tier magic as well, but the dude pretty much gives him this whole task to get accepted into Easton Academy, become the Divine Visionary, which is like top tier student that could get into like pretty much anywhere and do pretty much anything, and otherwise he'd have him and his father hunted for the rest of their lives. It's like, alright. So we then see him pretty much getting into the academy, doing the whole kind of like entrance exam, where he pretty much is trying to put off his like muscles as his magic, and I love the voice acting for it because it's more deadpan, and Mash is really just very dense. I hesitate to call him stupid. It's just, he just thinks about the cream puffs, kind of pretty much helping people as he can, but not really thinking tactically too far in advance. I mean, he punches his way through a labyrinth, and he helps out this one girl, Lemon, who was pretty much blackmailed by the instructor to pretty much fail this motherfucker out. And once that comes into effect, the headmaster's like, eat ass, bitch, and like pretty much takes his ass out. Claude was the dude's name. And then the headmaster, Wahlberg, pretty much tests Mash to see his kind of resolve, and utilizing pretty much a high tier kind of spell thing, and Mash is like, I'm trying to stop this because you're trying to hurt people that I care about, to save his father. And then of course he meets his roommate Finn, who's very kind of timid, think along the lines of Zenitsu, however without the whole like, why don't girls like me kind of shit, and going like thirsting across for any kind of thing. It's just more like very timid. not really trying to rock the boat, which then kind of dovetails into more of the stuff going on where people are pretty much bullying and using Finn to bully Mash. And Mash pretty much says, fucks this shit, and helps his friend out because he stopped doing it. He stood up to him and got his ass pushed in by the bully, and Mash pushes the dude in, and also an examiner dude, but, a professor, but the headmaster's like, alright, this really isn't that good. Let's see. Yeah, and we also get introduced that in order to become the Divine Visionary, you have to collect these coins and stuff like that. So he's just like going through, pretty much gathering up the rest of the kind of supporting cast. We get Lance, who's got a cis complex, which, oh my god. I mean, we're getting more kind of information on these characters. I mean, Mash is he's pretty much fully formed, and you pretty much have the pretty much gist of him from the first episode. Cool. Then, along the same lines. Lance needs a little bit more because they pretty much peg him with the whole cis complex, but he gets a little bit more going later on, figuring out that his sister is losing losing her magic, and that he's trying to become the Divine Visionary to like help her ass out and doesn't like what's kind of going on. So at first we get the trope kind of overshadowing everything, mainly for the comedic effect. This is where the kind of tonal whiplash kind of, I'm like, okay, you need to balance this a little bit better. That's my kind of whole thing. I enjoyed this season and liked the animation and everything going on in the premise and the characters. It's just, oh god, they would lean more heavily on the comedy and then attempt to kind of make up for it to like peter up some like seriousness kind of going on, because we've got people that have an unjust system going on. We've got people in the background that's pretty much laid out in this end of the season. So we kind of, and they're pretty interesting. I'm just like, why is this more in the background? There needs to be a little bit more balance here to kind of get this kind of going on. So, he's pretty much proponent of gravity magic. We see him fighting and losing to Mash, though not in a, like, Mash completely just decimating his ass, but more of a kind of friendly kind of rivalry and becoming more of kind of comrades, and giving him pretty much some more kind of silver coins to pretty much get into his gold coin kind of thing. The other one, what's his name? Dot? Yeah, we also had the fucking kind of like Quidditch thing. That was kind of funny because Mash cannot fly a broom, so he's essentially just fucking utilizing his legs to move so fast that he could fucking fly, and he just fucking destroyed shit. That was a kind of funny one. Okay, we got Lance. And then we're also introduced to the kind of like houses. Alder for bravery, Gryffindor. Orca for intelligence. Kind of like Ravenclaw / Hufflepuff. Lang for ambition. And of course we get that like things are kind of going nutty. We see Mash attempting to do class kind of stuff, but I think that it was kind of better that they did that a little bit to just get that kind of out of the way. And then just be like, yeah, let's get this other stuff in the background to the foreground, because this class stuff isn't really going to hold much of attention as we're going on. Dot. This dude who thinks he's the main character. Oh my god. Like, his introduction is kind of annoying, and you're just like, dude who thinks he's the MC. And it's like, oh god. But he goes on later to at least get a little bit more substance to him. That he's pretty much the one that's like, I want girls kind of part of the Zenitsu kind of character going on. Which, like, I can like, splitting that off kind of shows, like, why Zenitsu kind of gets the harsh rap that he kind of does in Demon Slayer, because when you start putting both of those together, it just gets to a really kind of annoying spot. So, he is attempting to pretty much help this girl out, but it's pretty much a trap to pretty much get coins from people, and he just gets his ass beat, but Mash kind of stands up for him and does this kind of 10-punch challenge against this dude, which was pretty effectively done. I'm like, oh god damn, motherfucker, you're not handling that very well, are you? And then him decimating like these scorpions coming out of nowhere. And Mash actually fucking suplexed the girl too, just to be like, well, fuck you. did that. He gets introduced to pretty much the puppet master dude, who is the head of this Lang kind of department. Alder? No. Abel. I'm like, that's the fucking name of the house. But it's close enough for all. He's following this like survival of the fittest kind of mentality. We don't really get much of that until pretty much the end of the season, but he's then attempting to pretty much go after all of Alder's coins, which includes Mash and all that, and is siphoning off magic from other people and turning them into puppets as well. So we see these other people getting brought in, Lance getting a pretty kind of cool fight scene to kind of explore his kind of stuff, as well as his enemies. Like, we do get some nice character development for the enemies, where this one dude's pretty much like a mud guy, for lack of a better thing, and has this kind of like monster thing, and him trying to be the best because he wanted to have value in the eyes of his father. But Lance pretty much is like, you've done a lot of cool stuff already, like, your dad's a dick, and pretty much kicks his ass and moves on. Dot does the same thing with this pretty boy dude. He didn't really get that much. Dot and Finn then have to deal with the fucking "Am I cute, girl?" and that's pretty much the extent of her, as like Stone Dude pops up to like crack some shit before Finn's brother, the divine visionary of kind of his grade, I believe. Rain. Rain Ames, who's got sword magic, which is actually pretty kind of cool. He links up and is like, oh, okay. I guess he has no magic, but he can at least deal with some shit. And goes upon his way, and we learned that these other, like an Azkaban breakout pretty much happened, and we're like, okay, what the fuck's kind of going on here? We've got this innocent zero kind of thing. Somehow Lance pretty much gets like taken out, and pretty much this dude kind of disguises himself as him. Jean Pierre? I didn't even know what the fuck that dude's name was. He was evidently using Abel to pretty much find something. And we kind of learn that Mash is that something. We also see that there's this one masked dude who's got this eye that can pretty much stop magic. Him and Mash have a nice kind of connection, as everybody, his parents even tried to kill him, and he doesn't really have a reason to live, except Abel pretty much gave him a reason to live, to be a tool. But Mash is like, I want you to stay alive, and I can give you some green puffs and shit, dude. It's cool. I don't think you're a dick or anything. And it's like, oh shit, as we're essentially going through the kind of like turning the villains into allies, we learn that Abel is doing the survival of the fittest because his mother was a noble, and she was actually attempting to help out other people as well before being killed by a commoner because of the system and everything, and decided to take it out on her, which is wrong, and set him on his kind of darker path. And it's like, oh shit, because his mother had the right of it. It's like, they have privilege, we're lucky, we should help people as much as we can, instead of being like, I'm a god kind of motherfucker, which a lot of the people seem to have that thing going on. And the thing is, Mash is able to pretty much take on and beat the shit out of Abel and save his friend Finn, and of course Lemon, Dot, all the rest of them kind of show up. And of course, the cannibalistic asshole pops up and is attempting to kill Abel for his failures, and Mash is pretty much, it was a little bit kind of boring actually. I mean, the dude's pretty much throwing giant spike things, and Mash is able to pretty much just like tank him, and pretty much as everything's kind of going on. I was expecting some more kind of magic out of a cannibalistic killer. Someone also set upon Rain. Rain Ames, yes. Who's another kind of one. Or is that the Jean-Pierre dude? No! Jean-Pierre is the cannibalistic killer that he's fighting. Who's the other one, though? Sorry, the Wikipedia was doing some weird kind of shit to me. I apologize for that. I'm like, wait a minute, that dude wasn't... I was like, oh, the other dude was the cannibal killer. Who is this dude? Spiky crown dude. He, like... The thing is, Mash and his friends were, like, celebrating defeating Abel, and then he accidentally, like, sneezed cream puffs onto the dude, and the dude's like, what the fuck? He's got, like, these spikes and all that kind of shit. They didn't really go much into his name, just what his kind of deal was of just looking for something, and linked up with this one kind of dude, and he's like, yeah, I figured out what to do, and he pretty much just leaves. He only just pretty much opens up portals and shoots out spikes and shit. It's like, okay, you can do a lot of different kind of stuff and magic kind of shit. What the fuck? I know that you have to get creative for Mash because of him doing, like, muscle magic and shit, which is just funny as hell. It's just, I kind of wanted a little more about what was kind of going on here, but Mash was able to save everybody involved. Mash just smashes the mirror that he was using for spell flexion, and he's like, no, he doesn't have any kind of shit. Oh, Cell War. Really? That's his name? No wonder I didn't fucking remember it. But Abyss is taken to the infirmary, and everybody's okay. Abel frees all the humans again. So, we'll kind of see what's going on with the second season. I don't know. I'll see when it kind of pops up. I mean, I was interested and intrigued. Overall, I like the Mash and his cadre of characters around him. It's just the more kind of fleshed out ones were the student ones, and then when Innocent Zero is like brought up, and then we're like, okay, this dude's name is Cell War or whatnot. Most of them I'm just like, okay. They follow more the kind of tropey comedic kind of stuff more than actual kind of serious stuff, so that's why I kind of like blank out on certain kind of names. So pardon me, I'm sorry for getting the one thing wrong. That I just didn't. They didn't really say or do much of like who he was, and he really didn't leave much of an impression other than being spiky guy looking for something for the other big bad. It's more of that I got the focus of the comedy kind of aspects, because that seems to be the stuff that's put up to the forefront of this. So if you're looking for a comedy, I would definitely recommend this one. Action-wise, it's decent in the action as well, especially when Mash gets creative with what he's attempting to do with his muscles. And also the rest of the magic for the rest of the magic users works very well as well. It's just they usually seem to be kind of stuck to a certain kind of magic, like swords or knives or whatnot. Even though they do seem to introduce a system where they kind of level up to a kind of level 2. We saw that with Mudman and Lance's fight, where Mudman kind of made a monster kind of one, and Lance made these kind of pillars that just ripped the fucking thing apart with his gravity magic. So, yeah, I had a good time with this. I'll see where it kind of goes and what other kind of places pop up with it. I hope Netflix gets the second season at a certain kind of point. Or barring that, if it takes too long, that Toonami is able to kind of get through it as well. I know licensing things are kind of just fucking gnarly. But, recommendation-wise, its tonal inconsistency is the kind of weird thing. If you're more into comedy, I definitely recommend this for the comedy aspects. If you're wanting a kind of serious kind of Japanese anime Harry Potter kind of take, this really wouldn't be for you. It'd be more on the comedy aspects and not really much on the character developments. It's more kind of a more kind of rushed kind of character development, not in the sense like they do at least do character development, but it's very done in short, condensed kind of things to almost like plot dump it, and the plot demands it so that way we can understand this character as fast as possible, because we only had like 12 episodes. Yeah. So, it's mainly the speed and the pacing of that kind of stuff that's like, are these characters going to be important? What's going to be going on? You know what I mean? So, we'll see how that kind of works out. But I don't think it's one that needs to be avoided or anything like that. just go in with the correct kind of expectations of how this kind of goes. So those are my opinions on the anime. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.